like to call the meeting to order. Yes. If you would all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I apologize for the standing room only crowd here. I don't know quite what to do other than proceed with what we're doing. Lisa, would you please read the opening statement and call the roll?
Yes. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with the Senator Violet M. Bear Open Public Meetings Act, the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority set its annual meeting schedule for August 2018 through July 2019, setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting to the Secretary of State's office in Trenton, New Jersey, and the office of the Clerk of Atlantic City. The notice was published in the Press of Atlantic City, the Camden Courier Post, and the New York Star Ledger on July 23, 2018, and July 24, 2018. Members of the press will be permitted to take photographs of today's meeting, providing that it is done in a manner which is not distracting to the authority, nor interferes with the public's right to observe the meeting. Any member of the public who wishes to address the authority regarding items to be presented to the board today will be given the opportunity to do so. Comments regarding any issues that do not appear on today's agenda will be taken during the public comment portion at the end of the meeting. We ask that members of the public who address the board stand and state their name and address for the record each time they speak on an issue. It is also requested that comments be limited to 3 minutes per issue. Olivia Butler.
Present.
Deborah DiLorenzo.
Present.
Ed Gant. Mark Antonio.
Here.
Mayor Frank Gilliam.
Here.
Michael Hanley.
Here.
Gary Hill.
Here.
Howard Kyle.
Here.
William Mullen.
Here.
Kevin Ortsman.
Here.
James Closis.
Here.
Eric Weiss for the State Attorney General.
Here.
Maureen Hassett for the State Treasurer.
Here.
Robert Long for the DCA Commission.
Good afternoon.
Frank Spencer. Richard Tolson.
Here.
Chairman Robert Mulcahy.
The next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's report. Matt?
I'm going to be very brief, Chairman. Just 2 things I wanted to note. This past weekend on Sunday, we hosted the All-Stars of Hip Hop at Boardwalk Hall, which saw an increase to almost 5,000 attendees this year. And also, you may have read in the press an announcement from Meet AC that the Esports Travel Summit will be coming to Atlantic City June 25th to the 27th. People may note that we've talked about esports in this room before and the potential investment from CRDA to promote that here in Atlantic City. That's all I have to report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Matt. Next item, we have ratification of minutes of the December 18th board meeting. Any comments, corrections? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve them.
Motion.
Move. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So ordered. Next item on the agenda is a land use regulation enforcement issue.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself.
You got it. This is preliminary and final site plan approval with variances. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting preliminary and final site plan approval with variance relief to convert 2,600 square feet of the existing interior retail space of the Atlanticare Bar and Grill into restaurant bar space and to add a new 2,300 square foot deck on the landward side of the property located at 1100 Boardwalk, City of Atlantic City, Block 1, Lots 142 and 142.01, and Block 60, Lots 14 and 15, under application 2018-11-2547.
Okay, Matt, you want to talk about this?
Sure. This is at the Landshark Bar and Grill down the street from us in front of Resorts. The applicant has requested major preliminary and final site plan approval with variances for signage, parking, and to allow more outdoor dining than permitted. The project, as was mentioned, conversion of 2,600 square feet of retail space into a restaurant bar area inside the same structure, an additional 2,300 square feet of new deck, and 94 dining seats on the landward side of the restaurant. Parking will be provided on site in conjunction with the Resorts Casino Hotel. Another variance is for added rooftop signage that's been proposed. And the last variance requests allow the restaurant to have more outdoor seating than indoor seating. A public hearing was conducted on this application back in December 6th of 2018, and based on evidence and testimony provided and outlined in the hearing officer report, the preliminary and final site plan with variances can be approved based on the testimony provided by the applicant and his professionals, and based on solid land use planning and engineering testimony. The hearing officer therefore recommends approval of the 3 variances requested.
Board discussion. Public comment. Motion to adopt.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and second, and any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so
Aye.
ordered. I think I'm going to skip the next one for a minute and go to, trying to see if we can reduce the crowd a little bit here. Item number 3, Facilities Management Services, authorization to award a contract to Spectra Venue Management for Facilities Management Services for Jim Whelan Boardwalk Hall and the Atlantic City Convention Center. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority awarding a contract to Global Spectrum LP, doing business as Spectra Venue Management, to provide management services to the Atlantic City Convention Center and Jim Whelan Boardwalk Hall.
Anybody need to be recused? This is, first of all, I want to thank Marshall and the committee that included Larry Sieg and Kathy Marshall, Michael Rowe, and Carl Hirsch. I think they did an excellent job in bringing in a proposal that's far more beneficial to CRDA. As you know, the Convention Center and Whelan Boardwalk Hall management is funded through the luxury tax. By going out to bid on new facilities, a management contract proposal from Spectra Venue Management is excessively better than the other bid. There is significant capital commitment from Spectra, and the Spectra proposals were also clearly financially superior to the ones submitted by SMG on both facility management and food and beverage. I wanted to make those comments. Finally, this year, we are intensely focused on maximizing our assets to market Atlantic City, whether through the mud-shared geospatial marketing contract to esports and arena football, and the increased funding from the new contract to our communications and marketing division will help considerably. Board discussion. It's been taken up by committee. Committee has voted it out.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to make one comment. Some of the new commitments, additional commitments that Spectra has provided for this contract, I think is amazing for our growth at Atlantic City. The chairman mentioned some of our marketing things. They can help us with that in Philadelphia as well as here. So I admire what they've done, putting more onto the table, so to speak, for the betterment of Atlantic City.
Other board members? Public discussion. Yes, sir.
Charles Good. I know you're on 3, but 3 and 4.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Charles Goodman.
I'm sorry. Thank
Yes.
you, Charles.
Okay. I just want to know, these contracts and all, I see the list of, is there any mandate for people of Atlantic City, period? Then number 2, people of color, to be included in a mandate. You're giving out all this money to people from Philly, they're all around, but there's no mandate in there. In using our facilities, that you mandate that they include people from Atlantic City. Okay, that's number 1, across the board. I don't care what color, but mainly keep people from Atlantic City and people of color. At some point, all these dollars that are pouring out here, and some of our excellent projects, but you got to be inclusive and think about Atlantic City really seriously first.
I think we're very sensitive to that.
Now, I didn't ask you about sensitive. I asked you, is there any mandate? It's a difference. A lot of people are sensitive to things, but they don't mean mandate.
Spectra Management's here. Do they want to speak to this concern? Yes, sir.
Certainly. Mr. Chairman, John Page, President of Spectra. Mr. Goodman's comments are certainly well taken. We are very, very concerned about inclusion as well. It's something that's a high priority to us as we hire. We recognize that the community, particularly with the CRDA support, and everything that goes into this does require inclusion. We take our hiring practices with our union partners and everybody else in the facility, our food and beverage company as well. It's something that we're committed to for the long-term success of this contract as well as the community at large.
Yes, sir. Jim?
Yes. We all know the difference in the word commitment, sensitivity, and mandate. We all know that. You don't have to be a lawyer to know that. Question was, is there any mandate in any contracts that go out from here that mandates people from Atlantic City are in it? That was the question.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, the authority does follow executive order guidelines that establish on its procurements the award of various contracts for services, goods and services, where the authority is required to have its contractors satisfy the executive orders that deal with inclusions requirements for various populations based on where the contract is being awarded. So there is that requirement, and the authority does follow that. This is a subcontracting to the management of the facilities. Our understanding is that the facilities manager takes on those obligations and seeks to hire qualified personnel from the local community as part of that mandate.
Mr. Chairman, let me go at this a different way. In terms of your current workforce, do you have a sense of, sort of guesstimate of local versus non-local?
Jim, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think what you'll see in all of our workforce all the way through, everybody is local, at least to a certain degree. Everybody lives in the surrounding Atlantic County or in the city. Many of them work and live in the city as well.
Yeah, I think he's speaking specifically to the city.
Correct. We hire on a regular basis. We have ads in the local papers. We have ads in the local areas. We're hiring on a regular basis continually, including interviews today, and people who are coming in are from the city. If you had more, we'd be willing to hire more because we still need more people. If that helps.
And just for my edification, how do you go about identifying potential employees? Do you partner up with local organizations?
Yeah,
What's your process?
we also participate in job fairs locally as well, and then we use references from people that are already working for us, who have friends and family and other people that they know in the area that are interested in finding work.
Well, does that answer your question?
Mr. Chair, this is Mr. Vice question. Was your answer to that question, there was a mandate or there are guidelines?
Thank you, sir.
There are guidelines that have been established through executive order, Mr. Kyle, that the authority follows in its procurement of goods and services. And those guidelines are attributable to this contract as any contract that we let, where we're purchasing goods and services. And we follow those guidelines that are outlined in the executive orders.
Jeff?
May I ask what it costs? I hear we're getting more for our money, more bang for the buck, but what's it cost, the contract?
I don't know what the total is, but the difference is about $1 million from what we were paying this year.
From what we were paying.
Right.
But the question is, what's the total contract?
It's in the resolution, Mr. Chair, if I may. The base management fee is $175,000 per year under the contract. There's a capital investment of $1.125 million over the term of the contract, and an allocation of $135,000 towards an advertising and marketing fund that the authority will have at its disposal per year. Or not, I'm sorry, that's over the life of the contract, I believe. So base fee, $175K. That's the base fee, and then there's an eligibility for an incentive based on certain benchmarks being met under the agreement.
Other questions from the public? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion from the board.
Move it.
Second.
Been moved by the mayor, seconded by Mr. Hill. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. The second piece of this is the food and beverage and merchandise concession services. Authorization to award a contract to Spectra Food and Food Services and Hospitality for food, beverage, and merchandise concession services for Jim Whelan Hall and the Atlantic City Convention Center. Lisa, please read the resolution.
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority awarding a contract to Ovations Food Services LP, doing business as Spectra Food Services and Hospitality, to provide food, beverage, and merchandise concessions at the Atlantic City Convention Center and Jim Whelan Boardwalk Hall.
Anybody need to be recused? In September, the authority issued a request for proposals for food, beverage, and merchandise concessions from Jim Whelan Hall and the Atlantic City Convention Center. 2 bids were received, one from Spectra Menu Management and Savor Food and Beverage SMG. The best and final offers were requested and received on December 21st. The bid evaluation committee met along with authorities' consultants and used a weighted scoring system, assessing respondents in a number of areas, criteria listed in staff action, and unanimously recommended the award of a bid to Spectra Food Services and Hospitality. Spectra Food Services and Hospitality management fee is half of that of SMG's proposed management fee for a new contract. And the evaluation committee authority would save $67,500 a year per year by selecting Spectra Food Services and Hospitality. Board discussion. Public comment.
I just want CRDA to consider the veterans, veteran ordinance when they do this, because right now there's a scaffolding, and that interrupts me doing my vending business, because I do a hot dog cart as a disabled veteran, and I don't think the CRDA, as considerate to the veterans as they should be.
Well, I would assume we would do the same as we did before, Jim, and we've talked about veterans, right?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to be honest.
All right, I do the sidewalk vending, and
Okay.
as a disabled veteran, I'm allowed to work on the sidewalk as long as the sidewalk's 10 foot. And right now, there's scaffolding coming up by the convention hall, and that's
Boardwalk Hall.
interrupting. Right,
Okay,
Hall.
sorry.
And that's interrupting my business, and that's
Yeah.
where the concession stand is going to be.
Well, our hope is to be through with that. That is there because the parapet wall at the top of Boardwalk Hall was in disrepair, and
Right.
we were feared falling debris. And so we put the scaffold up to protect the public underneath there from any kind of falling debris. That project is hopefully being done by the end of February at the latest, and then we will be taking that down as soon as that project is completed.
Right, and also on the sidewalk, each time the CRDA puts up a flower pot or, an object, that's interrupting the veterans' business. So I want them to consider that.
The flower pot does?
Correct.
It has an effect.
On the sidewalk.
What's your name, sir?
Glenn Crowder. And I'm 100% disabled veteran. And there's certain ordinance that favor disabled veterans. And because of some of the things that the CRDA is doing, it's not favoring the veterans. And that, as Mr. Johnson said earlier, that the city's not considering the people of the city as they're making these decisions.
Yes, sir. Are you out there just during events, or are you out there on a daily basis, year-round?
I'm on a daily basis during the summertime.
And that's on
And
Pacific
in the
Avenue?
winter time, because I have a chronic back pain, during certain events.
You should be able to coordinate something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sir, if we can get your information and whatever we can do to accommodate you, and
All right.
obviously, thank you for your service to us.
Yes, Jeff.
I think one of the things Mr. Goodman was alluding to is there was a time Boardwalk Hall ran itself and functioned and paid for itself. Now, the city always underwrote it as a convention destination, but things like our concessions were run by local people, and they were filled by local people, and they employed local people on their own. They gave the small entrepreneur a business to get ahead in. I'm looking at the history I was in there this morning, actually I was in there yesterday, but someone I was with was in there this morning. And I'm looking at what we're doing right now with Boardwalk Hall. We're sealing off some walls, we're covering up some murals that are our history, Right now, if you're a security guard at Boardwalk Hall with the new walls we're building, we can't see what's coming in off the boardwalk necessarily or what's circling around. So the Boardwalk Hall must be our showcase. We've got a management company in place. I'm not here to screw up that contract. What I am here is to redesign the future and how it has to be to make this town function. That's really what it boils down to. We know how to do it.
Jim?
Sure. I believe what we're talking about is the construction project that's going on in the lobby. Is that what you're referring to, sir?
Correct.
Yeah, so that is a project that's been ongoing. Again, there are lots of things that are part of that, including historical timelines and displays and things like that to create and recreate the history of Atlantic City, not necessarily the history of Boardwalk Hall, but the history of Atlantic City, which of course Boardwalk Hall is a part of. That project is ongoing. Anticipated completion, I believe, is April timeframe. It is a long project. It's an expensive project. It's taken some time, and actually the walls going up is progress rather than kind of the empty framing, which was there until probably last week.
I'm not sure that the walls lend themselves to the security necessary on the boardwalk.
Well, I have to ask, sir, where's your expertise in this?
None other than walking the streets of Atlantic City.
All right, and we've all walked streets, and I don't want to engage in an argument, but sometimes we have folks come to these meetings and implore us to maintain Boardwalk Hall and other historic entities of the city, and I understand that, as we all are. And then when we go to do that, we're criticized for how we're doing it, based on your own personal opinion, quite frankly, and not a professional architectural opinion, or a professional construction or opinion, or in this case, a professional security opinion. So,
The guy who pointed it out to me was a security guard that's been sitting in there for many years, if that's helpful.
well, it'd be good to hear it from him. And I'm sure
Fair enough.
Spectre would be more than willing to talk to their people and staff there and make sure that these issues are addressed. But we can't continue to try to move forward and preserve a hall that needs to be preserved and then have assumptions made of how we're doing it wrong.
I mean, when you think about it, between what we've done in the past and what we're planning on doing this year and next, we'll have spent almost $90 million to upgrade both the convention center, but mostly Whelan Hall. So sometimes as Rich said, in the process of construction, you cover things that won't necessarily be covered afterwards. This board's committee voted on the lobby
Renovation.
design when it came up. And part of that consideration was the historical nature of Atlantic City. And we tried to pay real attention to it. So I understand where Rich is coming from, and I think that...
I spoke in favor of that renovation, recognizing that the hall had to be moved forward.
Okay, other comments from the public?
Yeah, I gotta make a comment.
Mr. Cheatham.
I'm sitting here listening to you gentlemen. And I wasn't gonna say too much today, but I guess it seems as if I have to. Now, you young men mean well, both of you, okay? And I know these people here mean well a whole lot, okay? Now, what they're doing, the Boardwalk Hall and that lobby, involves me, we'll put it that way. Now, I'm also president of the library board, where we used to have our historical memorabilia on Garden Pier. We don't have Garden Pier no more. So we had to find a home. Boardwalk Hall is our home right now. Now I hope it's gonna be our permanent home. Now anything that's gonna jeopardize that particular thing, you guys are gonna hear from me, all of you, period. Okay? Because that's where our memorabilia and our history should be. Now we're working with these ladies and gentlemen on this board to try to work this thing out. I've been silent a lot of times. I don't even go up there as much as I should, okay? But I'm hoping and praying that they're doing an excellent job. So I'll start going up there and start looking myself. But I mean, let's give them a chance to get the job done. Whatever it takes, give them a chance to get the job done. Okay? Now I know how Boardwalk Hall used to be. I know how all the stores that used to be, gift shops used to be right there. Okay? I'm sure they're gonna bring some of that things back. It takes time. It also takes investors that want to invest in our city. But if we continually have disagreements from this area all the time, we're not gonna get investors to come in and spend their hard-earned money. Now, we gotta start working together, ladies and gentlemen. I know I don't like a lot of the things that's going on in Atlantic City, and I'm sure you don't. But in order to change them, we gotta work together, period. Now, you guys want me to have to go up there and start inspecting things, I'll start doing that. See, then you got more out of me.
Well,
But please, let's keep this thing rolling and don't have no obstacles in the way right now. Let them do what they have to do and work things out, and then we'll start arguing and fussing about who's gonna work where and when. Now, all this stuff, seriously, all this stuff mean well, and I know you mean well, okay? But all these people you worried about living in Atlantic City and working in Atlantic City, try to make them live here, because they don't want to live here. As soon as they get the job, they leave Atlantic City. They don't even want to live here. Okay, let's have people start living here and having some pride in our city, and then these things wouldn't have got this way in the first place. Please vote on it, leave it alone.
Bill, as always, we appreciate your wisdom, because more than anybody else, you have been a constant participant in the discussions here, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the work that you did in Boardwalk Hall, and I appreciate your comments, and I think the whole board does, because you hit the nail on the head. You know, we took over the responsibility for Boardwalk, for Whelan Hall, and the things that we have to do to fix it, because nobody paid attention to it. It's leaking behind the facade. There are all kinds of things that are happening there that nobody sees that we're gonna have to pay for to get done. And when I said we're spending $90 million, that's how much we will have spent by the time we get done with this year and next year on replacements and improvements to both facilities, mainly Whelan Hall. Other comments from the public? Hearing none, a motion to adopt the resolution.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Tolson, seconded by the mayor. Any further discussion from any board member? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. That takes care of those two issues, so anybody that can leave may open seats up for other people here who can find a seat. The next item, Tourism Market Expansion Project, Atlantic City Beer Week. Approval of the...
That was pretty smart. Pretty smart. I know you are.
All right, if anybody wants to come in and sit down, there are seats here. Good afternoon, Councilman. Okay, Tourism Market Expansion Project, Atlantic City Beer Week. Approval of an amendment to the project, a supplemental fund reservation, the amount not to exceed $30,000, and authorization to enter into a public-private partnership with Good Time Tricycle Productions for marketing support for Atlantic City Beer Week. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority establishing a supplemental fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $30,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and amending the tourism market expansion project to support the marketing and promotion of the Atlantic City Beer Week.
Anybody need to be recused?
I do.
Howard, okay. The Beer Fest, unfortunately, nobody provided freebies today, so we could all have.
Somebody should have eaten, okay.
But the Beer Fest currently draws over 27,000 over 2 days. It's an opportunity to grow a 2-day event into a week-long series of events. We think it will create a greater local economic impact, help to drive incremental visitation midweek in the off-season. $30,000 is solely used for marketing the event. Matt, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, sir.
Board discussion?
I just want to say that John is one of the smaller entities that do a great job for marketing the city of Atlantic City and the things that he's done, from the Beer Fest to the Seafood Fest. So I think that this is a great investment to participate and help a local entity out.
Good. Public, any other board comment?
Certainly a worthy cause.
Public comment. We need a few laughs here.
I figured it was time.
No public comment? Motion to approve.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Butler, seconded by the mayor. All those, any further comment from board members? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So
Aye.
ordered. Janitorial supplies, authorization to award contracts to General Chemical and Supply, Central Poly Bag, and Imperial Bag and Paper, and WB Mason in an aggregate amount not to exceed $75,000 to provide janitorial supplies for use by the Special Improvement District. Lisa, please read the resolution.
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority awarding contracts for an aggregate amount not to exceed $75,000 for various janitorial supplies for the CRDA Special Improvement District through December 31st, 2019.
Anybody need to be recused? Matt, you want to just briefly describe this is a variety of janitorial supplies that we need for everything we do.
Yeah, the city utilizes 24 different types. These include such things as brooms, mops, cleaning agents, trash, recycling papers, recycling bags, paper supplies such as toilet paper for the boardwalk comfort stations as well.
Board comment. Public comment. Motion to adopt.
Move. Second.
Been moved by Mr. Mullen, seconded by Mr. Tolson. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
so ordered. The next item on the agenda, financial advisory services. An authorization to award professional services contracts to PFM Financial Advisors LLC, Phoenix Advisors LLC, and Stone Planning Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $200,000 for financial advisory services on an as-needed basis through February 1st, 2020, with an option for a one-year extension. Lisa, please read the resolution.
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving the award of professional services agreements with PFM Financial Advisors LLC, Phoenix Advisors LLC, and Stone Planning Incorporated to provide financial advisory services on an as-needed basis through February 1st, 2020.
Anybody need to be recused? Yes, Michael. Matt, you want to describe the action?
The award of this contract is in direct response to the OLS audit findings. The contract is as needed, and no funds will be distributed until actual work is produced. By bringing on a pool of as-needed contractors, the authority can effectively monitor and analyze our economic development, pre- and post-development, and sports entertainment projects.
Okay, board discussion.
Just want to clarify, I believe my understanding is that that's a $200,000 collectively, an aggregate amount?
Yes.
Correct. That's a total amount of $200,000. Again, nothing's being spent until it's authorized.
Any further comments from board members? Public
Mr.
discussion.
Chairman, it's Maureen.
Yes, Maureen.
How will the work be directed to the three firms?
Paul, you want to answer that?
Well, if I may It's Paul Weiss. Typically, for financial advisory services, it's directed through the CFO and the needs of the finance department through the executive director. That's typically how this type of work would be done. The scope of work would be provided to each of the firms, and then they provide their proposal back. The authority can then pick the best proposal for that work.
Okay, Maureen?
If that answers the question.
Thank you.
Any other comment from board members? Public comment? Seeing none, motion to approve?
Moved.
Second. Moved, who moved it? Howard, who seconded it?
Yep.
Seconded by Rob. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. I'm sorry, what?
Portsman second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We got you. Next, we have two rejections of bids. The groundwater treatment system, approval to reject all bids. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority rejecting all bids received for the environmental services pertaining to the decommissioning of the groundwater treatment facility on Block 396 in the city of Atlantic City.
Anybody need to be refused? Matt, you want to tell us why?
This is a rejection of all bids for the groundwater treatment system. The idea is to demo this and remove it. It's on a property that's close to the convention center that at the time the convention center was built was used for dewatering. It's no longer used, but it does sit square in the middle of where we'd like to put a grocery store here in Atlantic City, so it has to be removed. Unfortunately, the bids came in extremely high. So we're looking to alter the scope of work in a goal of reducing the overall project cost. So this is a rejection of all the bids that we received.
Board discussion. Rich?
What substantively changes in the removal? I mean, it's a removal. It's got to be taken out, right?
Yep.
What substantively is going to change to affect the bid?
Oh, yeah. Lance, you want to answer that?
Certainly, Mr. Tolson, what we're going to do is have our environmental consultant go out and do a geotechnical survey. Part of the problem is the structure was built in the early 90s. There are not definitive plans as to where all the pipe runs underground. Some of the wells are not able to be located. It was built before the convention center was actually constructed. So we're going to get geotechnical surveys that will fine tune where these things are and what exactly has to be removed. A lot of the work that the contractors bid on was guesstimates. We want to fine tune that and draw these numbers down.
Thank you.
Other board discussion. Public comment.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on this issue here about the groundwater. Now, you know,
You don't have to stand up, Bill, it's okay.
this water problem that it's creeping up on us, little by little. Now, I'm very conscious of this, but I'm also on the MUA board. And we discuss the same issues. Right now, we have several blocks on the north side now we have no use, can't use it because of the contamination that's been done to the earth over the years. Now, the more you start digging and probing on this island, you're going to find all kind of problems when it comes to the water, because we all connected together, these water tables. So whatever goes on when it comes to the water, I hope you're including the water department on your discussions. Because right now, water is going to be precious than gold. And you guys, everybody sitting here, ladies, gentlemen sitting here. Water is going to be precious than gold in this country. And it's coming up real fast. So please pay attention to anything pertaining to, when you see water, you better start checking it out. So please have us included in your discussions, please.
Howard?
Just that water that's being pumped there is not potable water. It's not meant to be, goes into the drinking system or the water supply system. That was done back in the late 1980s, I believe. as a result of a settlement with DEP when they were building a convention center, because the prior location of there was a gasification plant, which pumped coal tar into the ground. And that's why there was a process to continue to pump and filter that water for a period of time, but it's not water for human consumption.
Yeah, but all water eventually creeps its way in the places you least expect. Okay? You might say that. I grant you might know what you're talking about. But water and everything else has a tendency to creep together, under the ground and on top of the ground.
Ironically, the guy who negotiated that isn't sitting in the room right now.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Seeing none, motion to reject the bids.
Make the motion.
Who moved it?
Me.
Rob moved it, second. Rich? Any further discussion for board members? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. The next item is parking lot management services, approval to reject all bids. Lisa, please read the resolution.
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority rejecting all bids received for parking lot management services for authority-owned service parking lots in Atlantic City.
Anybody need to be recused? Matt, you want to talk about this?
This is rejection of bids for parking lot management. On or about November 2nd of last year, the authority issued a RFP for operation of surface lot parking. The authority received one timely response from B&B Parking, the current parking lot operator. Pursuant to Resolution 18-126 adopted December 18, 2018, authorize the extension of the current agreement for one additional year to expire on December 31st, 2019. So we're seeking approval to reject the bids received in response for the solicitation that was, the solicitation that was requested.
So we do have it for 1 year.
Correct.
And we're throwing out bids for the future.
We're throwing out bids now because the board approved the extension for 1 year of the current operator.
Okay. Now, will we go out again?
Yes.
Okay. Board discussion. Public comment. Motion to adopt the resolution rejecting the bid. Who moved it? Moved by Michael, seconded by Howard. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Now we'll go back to the two major items of the day. Not that those aren't major, but first item is number 2, Atlantic City Events and Promotions, authorization to enter into a non-binding term sheet and negotiate and execute a 3-year public-private partnership license agreement with the Arena Football League for a new franchise to play at Jim Whelan Boardwalk Hall starting in 2019. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority pertaining to a potential public-private partnership with the Arena Football League and Atlantic City franchise team.
Anybody need to be recused? I think our staff and our consultants did a wonderful job through this bidding process. I'm sorry, I got the wrong one here. Bringing an Arena Football League franchise to Jim Whelan Boardwalk Hall, I think, is a win for the city. It's a win for family entertainment and for the CRDA. I'm confident that Ron Jaworski, who you all know in this area, in these parts of this state, will do an excellent job marketing the league's new team. As we did bring in college basketball back to Whelan Boardwalk Hall, Arena Football, along with esports this spring, expands our offerings beyond the concert business in Boardwalk Hall. We're excited to attract a new audience with affordable ticket prices to 6 exciting family-friendly new sporting events at Jim Whelan Hall. And this will start this spring in April. I think it's an exciting day, but let's keep in mind that while we are in the deal's red zone, we have a few steps to reach the goal line. The board is authorizing a non-binding term sheet and the final negotiation and execution of a license agreement, and it will be submitted, as with all authority action, to the governor's office for review during the veto period. I personally have been to arena football games. I know athletes who played in it, so I have some understanding of the game. And I think that this is an additional offering that we're doing in Boardwalk Hall in our effort to diversify the opportunities that we have for people to come to Atlantic City and to Boardwalk Hall. Board discussion.
Just, Mr. Chairman, if I could, looking through it, I mean, when we propose this, you know, it's a pretty glitzy thing, American Football League, but the effect on some of the issues that were raised here earlier from the public on local residents, this has effect on the workers in Boardwalk Hall. So
Right.
as described in the analysis here, the stagehands, the carpenters, the different folks, that some may live in the city, not all of them do. I'm not suggesting that they do, but some do, but it does have a residual effect beyond the ticket sales and the people showing up. Those that are employed year-round generate additional hours of employment, which is a good thing as well.
Yeah, because you have a specific setup for the games and takedown, and it's a pretty exciting game if anybody's ever been to it. Other board discussion.
Also, too, Chair, we've gotten a commitment from JAWS to pretty much bring some of their expertise to local football, youth football programs. Also, too, it's one of those things, and I think I mentioned it at the last board meeting. This is really the first time that Atlantic City won't say first time, but this is another opportunity for Atlantic City to come together and cheer for one thing, opposed to us constantly having other outside entities come in and perform a sport. We can now state that this is an Atlantic City team. It's not like it's the Philadelphia Soul. It's going to be a specifically Atlantic City team. I think is another great opportunity to allow folks within the region to come together under one auspice, looking for something to cheer for. Atlantic City has had so many particularly down comments about the city, things that we're doing. This is another way to bring some camaraderie, and sports has always done that. But I'm more interested in the piece that they're committed to actually helping the youth football and more or less introducing some college folks to an exciting career in football as well.
I think when Ron Jaworski appeared before the committee, he talked about the nature and number of community events that they have done in other places and that they will do here with young people. I also note that John Adams from the Arena Football League office is here. John, where are you? You want to make any comments, John?
Absolutely, and you know, I'm sorry on the consolation for Ron Jaworski not being here. Ron's on a plane right now down to work the Pro Bowl. But I've been working with Ron for 13 years in the Arena Football League. I've been the president of the Philadelphia Soul for several years, and then recently transitioned to the Arena Football League to make sure that you know, we get stability at the league level, which will then, you know, filter down and create stability at the team level. Everything that was mentioned is right on cue. I think the benefits are, first of all, and most importantly, 365 days a year. You know, we're not looking to be a one-off event, a concert, an event that comes in, you know, sees everybody's faces for a day and leaves. We're here in the community. You will see us active, not just the you know, 6 to 10 times we play at Boardwalk Hall a year. You'll see us on TV, and you'll be able to cheer for the team on TV. We expect significant growth with the Arena Football League for, you know, several years to come as part of our relaunch back in the fall. Community initiatives, education initiatives, phenomenal affordable entertainment experience, high quality product, opportunities for people in the community to get engaged, whether it be, you know, play on the team. We'll have open tryouts between now and the start of the season, where people from this community will have an opportunity to go and try out for the team and make the team. There'll be opportunities for, I think Mr. Tolson said it, you know, we contract out, obviously, and all the workers at the arena, our union, our local people getting additional events to work. You know, bringing in, you know, broadcasts where, you know, as Ron always says, that money shot coming in to Atlantic City, and the beautiful pictures as then we go live to ESPN or whoever our broadcast partner will be. I think, you know, Ron's as pure as it can get in his attentions to to bring everything that we have done in Philadelphia, but I think it can resonate even more here in a smaller market, more intimate market for the community to get to know the players and the coaches and everybody involved and create something exciting and be reactive and proactive, create opportunities that people haven't seen before, but reactive to the needs of the city and the ability to adjust and make decisions pretty quickly to make sure that this becomes a team that people here are proud of for now and for the future. Thank you.
John, thank you. One thing you might want to comment on is your plan to have the fans determine the name of the team. That has to have either Atlantic City or New Jersey in it, so go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did this last year with the team that launched in Albany last year, and I oversaw that process. It worked out fantastic and really created a sense of pride with the Albany team. So when we launch our team website, there'll be a button on the site where you're allowed to submit your team name suggestion. So we'll collect those for a week or so. I take a look now. There's a little bit of process that goes into it after that. One, obviously popularity. If there's a couple names that stand out or are more popular in the suggestion, we'll take that into account. Obviously, there's a legal process that makes sure you're kind of following, the IP rights and all of those kinds of things. Make sure there's no conflicts and making sure that we come up with a name that's fitting as well as our internal process. We use everything, and then we'll put it back out to the public with names that we've selected as finalists, where people get to vote on what the team name is ultimately going to be. There'll be a little bit of a process in between there as we take the winning name, create our marks and logos and colors and all those kinds of things, and we'll come back out and present at a press conference the name of the team and the brand that hopefully this community can rally around.
John, thank you. I do want to also publicly thank you because the negotiations were pretty tough. And our side stood pretty firm. And I think in the end, the term sheet that we would sign based after action today and the negotiation for the license agreement, I appreciate the cooperation and willingness to compromise on some of the issues here.
No,
so thank you.
And for the public here, I think I can speak for our group that CRDA has the best interest of the public and the community, and creating deals that don't just take risks. Like maybe some past opportunities. This was a tough negotiation, and I think we're ultimately happy that it gives us an opportunity to launch and improve our value to the community.
Thank you. Other comments from board members?
Just for clarification, Chairman, they're not going to be called the CRDA.
It's going to have a K somewhere in the name.
That's a good line. Good line. Any other comments from board members? Comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Question, before I start, I'm in favor of anything that's a positive, brings a positive light into Atlantic City. But I would like to know, what is the dollar and cents figure that CRDA has committed to this project?
The outlines of the deal relate to tickets, fees, and so on there, in addition to which we'll probably spend $500,000 in capital for the boards, the floor, and all the things that go with it, but they can also be used for other things. So what it has done is force us to deal with that issue too. Other questions from the public?
Yeah.
Bill?
No. Been here a long time, and this is a good chance to have a sporting team here in our city. But Mr. Mayor, we need to get Ventnor, Margate, Longport on this island participate in this program. You can start there, get all three of us working together as four. Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, Longport, supporting this program. You have something going for yourself, because then the rest of Atlantic County can join in. But this has to be a community thing. for it to be successful. That's what's wrong. We have these things and we don't include all the community involved in it. You can't just say this is this Atlantic City team. You can't just say this is the Island team. You gotta say this is the community team. If you start that way, getting everybody involved, you think you might have something good here. But you gotta do that. Because I've seen other teams start and finish right there at Boardwalk Hall. So please, start trying to get all the communities working together. All right.
In response to that, Bill, I think both from John Adams and Ron Jaworski, what's going to help this is their willingness to do things in the community for community people. And that's going to help build the community spirit that you're talking about. So that's a real positive as an initial piece of this project. So I think we understand that. I think hopefully the city does, but I know the team does and the league does. Other comments from the public? Seeing none, do I have any more comments from the board?
Motion.
It's been moved by Mark, seconded by the mayor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. I'd like to thank the staff on this. I think they did a marvelous job working through this. I know Marshall has spent a lot of time on it. I want to thank everybody that has participated in this because it's been a project that at times we thought might not get done, but through the perseverance of everybody, we got it done.
Got the ball across the goal line, as to say.
You got it. Now we got, it's second down and goal.
Yeah, the 1 yard.
So now we come to the last item on the agenda, which is really a big item, I think, for the future of Atlantic City. It's the Atlanticare Healthpark Project. A determination by this board of preliminary determination for project eligibility. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting preliminary determination of project eligibility to the Atlanticare Healthpark Project.
Anybody need to be recused?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself, please.
Mr. Hill. We do have the team here from Atlanticare. I have been working with Laurie Herndon, who was at meetings right now in Florida. Margaret, her number 2 person, is here. Margaret, if you would introduce who's here with you, we'd appreciate that.
We're going to flip roles, Chairman.
What's that?
We're going to flip roles on the introduction.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Frank Lee, Director of Government Relations for Atlanticare. As stated, Margaret Belfield, our Chief Operating Officer. She's the one who really makes the trains run on time, so we're happy to have her here today. Mr. Huck Kim, our Chief Financial Officer.
Who was in discussions with us.
Correct. And Mr. Tim Lowry, our attorney.
I know him well.
So that's the team. Chairman, just as we're getting started here, I'd like to thank you today personally for posting this presentation for a vote before the entire board. And thank you for all the personal time you put in, your guidance, your insight. But I think, Chairman, I'd be remiss if we did not acknowledge the tremendous work done by your staff.
Right.
And, sometimes you have to single out, sometimes you don't, but Matt's done a fabulous job. He's been with us, from the start. But also Heather and Lance have really, when I say rolled up the sleeves, they've come over, they've been on the facilities, they've walked the walk, they understand it. And also Christina Fuentes from EDA. So really it was a wonderful journey to put this all together. And I think at each step of the way, because of the involvement of the staff and yourself, the project's gotten better and better and better. So today I think we present to you a project that will have a profound impact on the city of Atlantic City, the residents, in terms of health and welfare. So we're very, very excited today to proceed. So with that, we're going to ask Margaret to walk us through the...
Sure.
And I will be brief, but thank you. Good afternoon. I don't know which button.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Make sure it's on. It's on. So you hit these sideways to move it back and forth.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to briefly take you through who we are as Atlanticare in your community, take you through the project description, some of the benefits, and then a summary, and we'll take any questions. So I just wanted to highlight for those of you who don't know that we have over 90 locations in 6 counties. We have about 6,000 employees, and 1,800 of our employees come from Atlantic City and live in Atlantic City. We see 130,000 emergency room visits. We take care of about 500,000 patients in all of our outpatient sites, and we have 81 school gardens. So a lot going on. We have 1,015 providers, and that's our doctors, our nurse practitioners, and our PAs who work within our organization. So this is our Atlantic City Hospital, and that's our Harmony Tower. But we opened in 1898, so we've been in Atlantic City a long time, and we'll be here for another 100 years at least. Our 2 service lines are our designations of excellence, our regional trauma program, which sees close to 2,000 patients through it, our bariatric surgery program, and we have the only comprehensive stroke program in our local region. Cooper is the next closest program there. And then we're full service. If you're not experienced to our Healthplex, that's at 1401, and this is a building that's bursting. We can't fit any more program in it. We see about 600 patients coming through that building every day for services. It's a one-stop shopping for our underinsured patients. There's a pharmacy, a laboratory. We do financial counseling. We have our federally qualified health center there doing both adults and pediatrics. And we also started a pantry at the Plex where we give nutritious food and also serve the children in the summer free lunches and do some health education with them. So here's our proposed building. It's going to be the first new construction project in the Eds and Meds District as designated by CRDA. It'll extend the walk development by an additional block, and it leaves one more block between us and the Stockton Carnegie building on MLK. So this should create a lot of foot traffic in this region so that you're seeing more white coats and more professionals walking through the neighborhoods as they go back and forth from the hospital to this building. So it'll be a 3-story, 65,000 square foot office building on the corner of Ohio and Atlantic. It's going to have a dialysis program with Fresenius. We have a joint venture with them, and that will be able to serve about 200 people that get chronic dialysis in this building. We're going to be expanding our medical education programs. So we'll be serving about 100 medical students and physician residents. We're planning to add a family residency in addition to our internal medicine residency, and we're growing our psychiatric residency program. We have relationships with Rowan, Geisinger, Commonwealth School of Medicine, and also the Philadelphia College of Medicine for the students that come through our organization. We'll also be opening an urgent care through our federally qualified health center in this building for after-hours care, so they don't have to use the emergency department unless it's an urgent or emergent need. And then we're going to be adding to our women's and children's services around perinatal care through maternal fetal medicine programming to enhance the care that our pregnant moms need. So this is a view of the proposed building. This isn't the final rendering, but this is an artist's rendition of what it could look like. And of course, this is the rear of the building with the parking necessary to service both the ambulances for dialysis as well as our other patients and staff.
So at a high level, in regards to the 65,000 square foot building, working with our consulting group, Aegis Property Group, we came up with a proposed construction budget associated with this project, and it'll be roughly around a $38.3 million construction budget.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments here. I think that in keeping with our heightened focus on executing Governor Murphy's vision and the recommendation of the Johnson report, moving forward with the preliminary project eligibility for Atlanticare is a significant step. Excuse me. Both for the hospital, both for the hospital and the CRDA, but more significantly for the residents of Atlantic City, particularly mothers-to-be and children. In the process of negotiating this and how we were going to do it, we had an exchange of memorandum about what should be included in the agreement. And I'm happy to say that after the meetings that we've had, the memorandum that had been submitted by Atlanticare has been agreed to in terms of the administration, because it represents the things that we talked about doing. In my opinion, the things that are important for us to know is that, number one, it's an expansion of treatment for mothers and babies who are at the greatest risk. As I've said before, the mortality rate in Atlantic City, I think, is 4.7 per 100, which is high in this state. So this is a positive there. The second thing is providing care for pregnant women who are addicted. I think this is very important. Third is a comprehensive program addressing the problems that we have with opioids and other addictive drugs. They're going to address the treatment, the support system, and how they're going to deal with the aftercare. They also have a healthy food and eating program. And these are laid out far more specifically in the memorandums that we've exchanged, which will be negotiated as part of the agreement. The things that we've talked about is that we will put money in pari pursuit to what the hospital or Atlanticare does, so it's not just an upfront payment per se, but it's a payment as the construction goes. The second thing is that we've agreed that we would write lease language in there, that if the building was sold or they never built it, that we would the provisions of the lease will be stated in the agreement, so that if they sell a building, for example, to some other hospital system, that system will then have to pay us lease rental money for the property, which I think was important. The other thing that we have to work out that I talked to Tim this morning about was apparently there's a SID assessment issue which we'll deal with in negotiations. But when you look at these things, I think that what we're doing is providing $15 million in CRDA money, as well as the provision of the lot on which it will be built, which we own now. So when you look at the value of the lot as it's appraised, it's somewhere around $3 million. So this, to me, is a significant step in what the administration and the governor and the lieutenant governor want to do in Atlantic City, and to really deal with a problem that I think we all need has to be addressed and addressed quickly. So I think I want to thank the staff. I want to thank Lori and Margaret and Huck and Tim for their willingness as we sat there and tried to negotiate this stuff out. And I'm really excited about this. From my own experience, I've spent about 30 years on hospital system boards, including both urban and suburban. And I think this is really a great project. And I think all of us on this board should be proud of our ability to get this done. Comments from board members?
Chairman. We discussed this in committee, and as I expressed in committee, I'm totally supportive of the project on several levels. I think it's a good project. Number one, it meets emerging community needs that have been identified in Jim Johnson's report, and it was discussed just a little while ago. Second, it fulfills one of the key goals of the CRDA master plan, the eds and meds component, and I've been on this board for 8 years, I think, and we finally are starting to move in that direction, which I think is important. Third, it also helps a key community partner. Atlanticare is a very good corporate citizen. I have very good relations, a lot of respect for that organization. And fourth, it creates some good paying jobs that are permanent in the community. I estimate from my reading of the material about 145 professional and management positions and 168 construction jobs. So all in all, I think it's a project that adds a lot to the community.
I couldn't agree more, Howard. I just know from my own experience what it means, because in so many urban areas, the hospitals are having trouble. Now, the thing everybody needs to understand is that Atlanticare has a substantial charity care, what do you want to call it, every year. I mean, it's about $30 million, right, Margaret? I mean, think about that. They're taking in anybody who comes in there, whether they have insurance, whether they don't, whether they can pay for it, or whether they can't. And that's being subsidized about $30 million a year. So this is a tough issue. I think it's really important that we all understand how much they're willing to risk to do this project. And I think it's really a major step forward in this city for advancing us in the future. Other comments from board members? Rich?
No, I mean, it's a slam dunk. It meets a lot of needs of the community. It meets the needs as described by Howard. I can't do it any more eloquent than the way Howard laid it out, so.
Billy?
No, it's a great thing. This is what this board should be doing, helping the people in the community, the mayor. And, it's the right thing to do.
Mayor?
Again, this is one of the highlights of what public-private partnerships are all about, putting people to work, more importantly, adding an amenity to a city where healthcare is a substantial cost. And if we can create a healthier city, we can create a more prosperous city. But also, more importantly, beginning to address blight and empty parcels. Being able to see a structure of this magnitude expanding off the walk gives it a much more robust feel to that region of the city. It also gives us an opportunity to address some primary things that we had concerns with, and those neonatal care and infant mortality and things of that nature. I can't speak any more highly of Atlanticare and their commitment to Atlantic City and partnering with the feeding that you've done over the summer, the Healthy City Initiative that you partner with, also the commitment to partnering with the city and bringing a bike program to the region. So again, kudos to this board for supporting such a huge initiative. But more importantly, this is a great way to show that the CRDA and the public-private partnership that needed to rebuild the city is beginning with this particular project.
Jim?
I think the mayor summed it up. It's a great project. I think it's right in our lane. And one question: what's the timeline on completion?
Well, once we get initial approval, we'll go back to the drawing board and really start doing the schematics and mapping out everything in the building. Once we get all the approvals, it takes about 2 years to complete.
Well, I think it's a no-brainer. I echo everything my colleagues said. I mean, you can't turn around a city, transform a city without eds and meds, without a strong education sector, without a strong medical sector. Right. You can debate all the other stuff, people debate all, but at the core of that are ed meds, and you've seen how ed meds have transformed cities across the country and also within our state. So I think it's a very smart, strategic investment.
Mark?
I just want to commend you, all of you at Atlanticare for doing a great job. You take care of our employees, our customers, really all of us, and you do it at such a high level, and it's very distinguished. Your offering is very high level compared to around this country, parts of the country that need to suffer. So keep up the good work.
Michael?
Yeah, expansion of FQHC services is terrific and something we should definitely endorse. It's a much more efficient way to deliver healthcare.
Howard, you did your comments. Anything? Eric?
Yeah, this is one of those projects that's easy for everyone to support, and will bring benefits to the community for years to come, and thank everyone that was involved in putting it together.
Howard?
I've already commented.
Kevin.
We look a lot alike, though, don't we?
I couldn't see that far anyway.
Look, Atlanticare is a role model corporate citizen. Caesars Entertainment is physically connected. We have a big commitment to the community financially as well, and we absolutely support this. This is a fantastic project for Atlantic City and Greenville.
Rob?
Ditto.
I felt it was important. Debbie, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate the Atlanticare team. You guys are on the cutting edge, and this project just shows the leadership of Lori and Margaret, you, and of course Frank, and I'm sorry, your name, sir? Yes, and Tim. If we see if we look at what's happening in Camden with Rutgers, Rowan, and Cooper, how that downtown is becoming vibrant now, we can mirror that, and we know the meds and eds, as Mo mentioned, work. So congratulations, and I fully support what you're doing.
sir. I felt it was important for everyone to express their feeling about this. It's a big project. It's certainly a commitment of our resources in a big way, and that's why I really asked all of you to offer a comment. Any other board discussion? Mr. Lowry, do you have anything you want to say?
Mr. Chairman, I would just, from a time-lapse subarray, I'd love at some point in time to show the before and after. So if you remember, in this area of town, there was some questionable content as far as what was there before. Mr. Santor and I were just talking. At one point in time, there was not the greatest retail establishment and a show of sorts that is now going to be transformed into literally an FQHC and a medical program that's going to serve hundreds and thousands for years to come. So it's just from a visual perspective, Chairman, for those of us who grew up and live in Atlantic City, what that area was and what it will be is significant. And I just want to thank Chairman yourself, Mr. Doherty, as well as everybody else on the board for making that happen. I think it's going to happen. Thank you.
Paul, you and Tim are going to get together to make sure that we draft the appropriate agreement so that we can continue this thing on. Our purpose today is to begin the process with a preliminary determination of project eligibility. Any public comment? Yes.
Yes, I would like to say something very positive. Atlanticare is an excellent corporate citizen, very conscious of their surroundings and the people they serve. People that don't have a voice in government, but you serve them. They've been on the cutting edge, fighting the opiate issue in this town. I mean, it goes beyond kudos, and I want to compliment you when you did the breakdown that you didn't have to be asked how many people were from Atlantic City. You had it in you, and everybody should be having that. It's not something that we should have to be guessing, conscious, sympathetic, and all those. The proof is in the pudding, and you have it. And sir, I go back to the day I was born in that hospital when it was one little building on Ohio Avenue.
Me too.
It looked like a house. That's how. So I've seen the difference a little further back than what you've seen. All right. Thank you, and I thank you, Atlanticare, for all that you've done for the citizens of Atlantic City and extending, committee. Thank you.
Councilman, I think this is in your ward, isn't it?
That's why I'm here.
I couldn't have guessed that.
I think that I kind of know how this vote's going to go, but I would be remiss if I didn't make about 3 comments, and I'm going to sit down. First of all, Chairman, Mayor, Matt, and the board, and the staff, I appreciate your efforts that you've made in partnership with Atlanticare. I think this is a significant project that must go forward. I think you said it right, Chairman, and this is something that the CRDA board is supposed to do, and I think you're glad to do it. As the elected official from this district, I can tell you that I am ecstatic about the possibilities of this project and the need that will be met. A year ago next month, Frank Blee and I spoke at a Black History program that Atlanticare sponsored. As Mr. Goodman said, Atlanticare is a superb corporate citizen. At that Black History program, we talked about medical disparities, and we were sad to reflect upon the fact that the highest infant mortality in the state of New Jersey is in Atlantic City. Frank Blee and I said that we would want to come back this February with a report on how we made an impact on that figure, that unfortunate figure. And I'm happy to anticipate that next month we can go back and say that this board has approved this project, and this is a significant assault on that number. All the other comments that you made, that the board members have made, I associate myself with. The economic benefit, the eggs and meds, the increase in traffic, the job opportunities, the educational opportunities, all those go with this project. And I would just say that I was talking to some of my constituents before I came over, excuse me, and I told them what I was going to say, and I can tell you that this is a much needed and much anticipated project, and I will take the authority to speak not only on behalf of my constituents, everybody on City Council is 100% in support of this project, because we know that this is something that even though it's in the ward that I represent, it's going to impact in a positive way every citizen in Atlantic City and those visitors that come there. Thank you very much for your anticipated support.
I appreciate your comments, Councilman, and I appreciate the fact that the board members not only support it, but actually we're spending a great deal of our resources on this project because we believe in it. Yes, sir.
Joe Kelly with the Chamber of Commerce. One thing I know is be smart enough to get out of the way of the vote on this one, so I'll be very brief. But I do want you to know, one, everything that's been said about Atlanticare is true. I have not seen a project ever that when they say they're going to do something, they don't do something. So the board has already said it, but it warrants saying again, Atlanticare does what they say they're going to do, and I think they're going to be a great partner. We're very excited, and I think we ought to celebrate a little bit the continued diversification of our marketplace. I don't want to forget about the investment made by South Jersey Gas, the investment made by Stockton, and to see that momentum, as we had hoped that it would, move into the middle of town is really very clear, and I think going to be very well, and the comments made were very appropriate. But we are here on behalf of the business community to let you know that there's full support of the private sector, and most importantly, we're excited about the jobs that it'll create because we think everything gets better when there's jobs. So thank you for the time.
We appreciate that very much. Anybody else want to speak?
I'd just like to make a comment, but from a different angle. Firstly, as I get older, thank you, the more hospitals, the better. Secondly, many years ago, I was 10, 12 years old, I'm not even sure, I was cleaning out my neighbor's garage. And my mother, with full permission of my mother, my neighbor stuck me on a bus because my neighbor was feeling sick with a mayonnaise jar full of urine. And put me on the bus to Atlantic City to take it into the hospital because she felt safe enough for me to do that. Last week on the corner of Indiana and Atlantic, I was offered tickets or something, I'm not sure what they are, but I hear it has something to do with methadone or heroin or something like that. This will stop, that's a bad corner. This will stop that nonsense too. And I appreciate the development of that corner.
Thank you, Joe. Bill?
Well, I'm glad Atlanticare gonna be taking care of me, you know.
You're a VIP, man.
You know, these projects and the development of these blocks on Atlantic Avenue is an excellent thing. And I just might see my city grow back to its greatness again. I just might see that before I leave here. That's a good thing. And I hope you guys rest it a little bit more. Thank you.
Michael Epps is the new director of the Atlantic City Project Office. Michael, you're here.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to take the opportunity, since the item is on the agenda and I was here, to support the endeavor and encourage the board to support it also. I think that it's been said that the concept furthers the findings of the Johnson report. My charge is to carry out the initiatives in that report. This helps me do my job, so I appreciate that. I appreciate Atlanticare for being there and bringing some of those services right into the middle of the city, so that we will have it localized and we'll be able to address some of those issues that are pressing concerns. And some of it we will have to do in the interim until that building is built, because some of the needs are more immediate than that. But we appreciate that ultimately that building is going to be there, and some of the needs and results are further out, and that building will be at the center by the time that those needs bear fruit. So we support this concept, and we thank them for being there, and we look forward to working with them as this endeavor carries on. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and as you know, I think we've been very supportive of the initiatives that the project office has asked us to participate in. Any other comment from the public? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the resolution to determine the eligibility of the project.
Move it.
Been moved by the mayor. Is there a
Second.
second? Seconded by Mr. Long. Any further discussion from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. I thank everybody. I think this is one of the few times that we've had a meeting where everybody came here and was supportive of the project, and I'm very appreciative of that. And Tim, you'll work with Paul to expedite this so we can get it done. Margaret, thank you very much. Tell Lori I said hello.
I will.
And good luck. Next, we come to the public comment portion of the meeting. Is there anybody that wishes to address the board? Yes.
Yes, sir. Two quick things. And I had a reason for asking you a question about the outlay for the arena project. And you mentioned the Johnson endeavor, what he has saw fit the needs. One of those needs in the report was recreation. Unfortunately, we have a recreation department that is at bare minimum. The crowds supersede the supervision that goes in there in each building. They're in school buildings. And the program, because of lack of dollars and resources to enhance it, is basically an after-school basketball program. I'm sure all of you have visited Florida and different places where the recreation program is something beyond. And I'm just asking that the creator read the report on recreation and that they support the enhancing of our recreation program. And Mr. Tolson, I do have expertise in that field, and I wasn't speaking as on the area. I don't get into nothing I don't know about or research about. This I know about, having led the recreation department some years back. Okay?
Share your passion,
So,
sir.
okay.
I've done the same.
I don't know how to read that, but
Charlie, interesting you brought that up. Matt and I just had a conversation on day before yesterday? No, excuse me, last week, on commitment of this board to participate. But what we'll be doing on our end is coming up with some kind of a structure as to how we would like the program to actually look before we bring a proposal over there. And we just want to make sure that we outline in the structure that's going to address the needs of every kid in the city, opposed to what you're talking about, just having
believe it or not, it's more scholarships on track and field than there are basketball. And everything leads to, we had golf, we had skiing. We exposed the kids to other things other than basketball. Unfortunately, all our kids can't play basketball and make money and all. So it just has to be enhanced, the whole program. And I'd be glad to volunteer to be a part of that.
Other comments from the public?
I'd like to comment.
Wait a minute, Jeff, you've had 3 times. Yes, sir.
I'm John Henderson. I'm with Good Time Tricycle. I created the Atlantic City Beer Music Festival and now Beer Week. So 14 years ago, we dropped this concept in Atlantic City. I heard a couple times that it wasn't going to happen, wasn't going to work. It wasn't an endeavor that people would come to Atlantic City for. Our first year, we saw 3,000 attendees. We're up to 27,000 attendees. And over the last couple years, my staff and I have noticed that we had people come in on the bookend parts of the weekend. People coming in on Wednesday, people coming in on Thursday. When the festival, I initially started on Saturday and ended on Sunday. We saw a need as new restaurants pop up, as as beer becomes part of the culture. We saw this need to, create a beer week. We talked about it in prior years, and this year we decided to pull the trigger. As it stands right now, we are at 15 beer week events leading up to the festival itself. By the beginning of February, we'll be somewhere around 30 total events, which should move upwards of 7,000 to 10,000 new bodies on top of the 27,000 people that are coming to the festival. So more than anything, this is me saying thank you for the support, thank you, the vote of confidence in seeing a vision that's going to essentially continue for as long as I'm breathing. So thank you.
Other comments? Bill?
As well as being a member of a business owner, I was also a commander of Disabled American Veterans. And being that Atlanticare was here, most veterans, they got to travel either Philadelphia or Delaware for medical care. I think the CDR, they could focus more on veterans' health issues and veterans' issues. There might be something Atlantic City could do to bring some of that to Atlantic City. Because right now, the closest medical clinic is in Northfield. and they're connected to Wilmington, Delaware. And Sewell is the other one in New Jersey, in South Jersey, now is connected to Philadelphia, VA. So in Atlantic City, they don't have any veterans medical care. Atlanticare would be a third party, but wouldn't be directly through the VA. So maybe they could consider something for veterans benefits and veterans care.
Not bad idea.
Real quick, I was addressing you earlier, I forgot to say one important thing. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
I am a veteran, so I understand. Bill? Bill, would you
Well,
wanna
everybody
speak?
done had all their comments, and everything's been covered. Now, what I like to say is, you know, it's a good thing when you get old and watch all these people that have come up here today. I remember when they were growing up, and now they're leaders and conducting surveys and everything else pertaining to our city. So our city is on the right path, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm just hoping and praying you keep the good work up. And I'm not going to like you all the time, I'll tell you that right now, but that's how it is. You know what I mean? And so...
But generally, you've liked us.
oh, yeah. But I'm saying, you know, we're sounding good. Everything is looking good. I have a vision that things are going to look real good.
This was an important meeting today. A lot of good things came out of it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys getting taking care of me. That's what I'm thinking about, that over that healthcare. There.
Other comments from the public? Jeff?
I have one more, and it's somewhat of a prepared statement because I don't want to deviate or get tongue-tied. Number one, thank you guys for building and believing that there's an Atlantic City here worth investing in. Number two, thank you unions for trying to piece it all together. But now I want to talk to one of the missing ingredients on the board and in the city. And instead of my words, I'm going to start with the words from Darren Walker, who wrote within the last week. He's the president of the Ford Foundation. That started with $25,000 in 1936. It's currently worth $13.5 billion. They're doing something right. We keep draining and not building. It's the nation's 5th largest, by the way. We must trust those we fund and fund them adequately to do what they believe is best, not what we think is best. Placing meaningful resources in the hands of those closest to the problems, backing their visionary efforts over time, listening and learning at every step of the journey, this is the philanthropy we need today. Atlantic City was never about the town. It was about the circus, the entertainment options. On every street we had a carnival midway. And wherever you turned, you were safe and you saw something new. We need to create that. Ways we can do that, I believe, is to trade off some of the things that are our strengths. Atlantic City should not be a scary place because of our diversity. It should be a beacon to the world that exhibits the American immigration experience by building showcases around town to exhibit them, invite them to invest in this town, and showcase the best of their culture. We can be a standing World's Fair. That's what we were. But we were that for the American seaboard who could get here by train. We now need to bring them internationally because gambling's not cutting it. But if you give the little guys some power, if you give the festival guys some power, these big guys won't be able to keep their buildings empty. I mean, they'll be so full that you'll have everything you want. And that's what I'm trying to say. We need representation. We need people who know the community. We need people who know all the moving parts and who to call. What Mr. Goodman was saying today was, we used to make it work differently and it worked just fine. You're right, it did work fine. We died, we screwed up, let's bring it back. Thank you.
You know, we all appreciate that, but I think there's a little bit of historical knowledge that people need to understand. And the mayor certainly understands this because he wasn't part of it. But when the crash came and the city had significant debt, we are contributing $24 million a year to the payment of the bonds for what the city did. And when you think about what that takes from our ability to fund projects, that's a significant amount of money, Jeff. And we have, look, we'd all love to do all these things.
I'm aware of that, sir.
Now we have to be very careful with what we fund because of the limitations that we have through 2026.
We can create private sources for money if we give them the vision. People will come.
Well, here's the interesting thing. You take the Atlanticare project, nobody else would give them any money in the state. We gave it to them.
I understand that.
So, I mean,
There's
a reality
I'm in
to
your
all
corner.
of this.
I am not again. I understand.
I understand that, but I just think people have to understand that there's a limitation to what we can do.
We can invite the immigrants to raise their own fund and put their cultures here. We haven't done that.
Whose function is that?
Is it ours? I don't know. Whose function is it?
I would believe it's a function of the people of the city.
I would agree. But right now, we're in charge of the tourism of the city and the marketing of the city. We're a messed up city. You know that.
Other comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. We are going to have an executive session. I do not know whether anything will come out of it or not. I can't predict at this particular moment. If there is, when we reopen the meeting, we will tell you, and certainly to the press. If there is something and you're not here, we'll call you. So I can assure you of that. I just don't know what's going to happen. Okay? Sometimes you know and sometimes you don't. So I want to thank all of you for being here today.
Make a motion on that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, would you move that we go into,
Second.
close the public session and go into executive session?
Sir?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $1.4 million, and the negotiation and execution of a non-exclusive public-private partnership booking and promotion agreement with Live Nation Mid-Atlantic, Inc. for concerts and outdoor events on the beach in Atlantic City for the upcoming 2019 season.
All right, you've heard the motion. Anybody need to be recused? Any further discussion from any board member? Any public discussion?
Can we just ask questions then? Is that okay?
After the vote. We'll give you.
Oh, okay, all right.
No public comment. Any further comment from the board? I'll accept the motion to approve the resolution. Moved by Mr. Tolson, seconded by who?
Mo.
Mo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Have a